Shrouded Fable ETB cases double in price. So this is kind of in response to, or kind of figured this would happen. Shrouded Knox made a video 24 hours ago or 22. I just watched it, talk about Shrouded Fable, especially how the ETB cases were getting quite scarce and therefore they're about to get really expensive. Yeah, this was, if we look at data, no one has really paid that price yet, but people started buying it up. And definitely, like, there was three sold yesterday for about 950. Before that, like, 900 is kind of rare. There's one over here. Otherwise, it was like, actually 750 was kind of more normal price. But now it's doubled to pretty much 19, like pretty much $2,000. And yeah, it doesn't take, like, you saw the bio started happening on August 23rd. That was over here. Before that, the price was, yeah, around 700, 730. So yeah, I suggest you watch this video if you want to hear the take on Shrouded Fable. Pretty much it's going off like, hey, who knows if they're gonna reprint it, and we've seen other cases like he mentioned other sets where it was pretty much on clearance and it was selling really well. So as a result, I do see a lot of demand spikes for Shrouded Fable. So I'll just go over those really quickly. I don't normally cover Shrouded Fable; it's not usually that exciting. But you see the PCTB over here just had a spike in sales. So you see 13, 12, and 12. Usually the average is like 3 per day, and the price is still around kind of the same range right now, despite the demand increase. Like I see 130, 120, 125. Like, so it's around, like, let's say 125 to 130 has been the normal price. Actually, before this bio started, so let's base this based on where this was a few days ago. So August 28th, it was around $100 or 105. And then before August 28th, I see the 107, 295. So this was kind of a $100 PCTB or even like a $90 PCTB just about on August 27th. So that's not even a week ago. That's like 5 days ago. So this has risen quite a bit since then, and this has risen at least $30 in recent time. Now the price is kind of stagnating a little bit around the 130s, 140 ish. But this has gone up quite a bit since the demand started picking up. PCTB cases, let's look at the same analysis. So yeah, these were very clearly like 600 before this, even like 400 before this. And that makes sense, that the PCTB was around 100, and these are selling for about 400 each. So these have suddenly gone up quite a bit. Like if this is 400, then this has also pretty much doubled. It's like 200 per PCTB. For the ETB, you're seeing, yeah, the mass are happy a few days ago, 35.99. And the price before that, let's see. So before that, it was around, let's say, the 27th. You're selling for about $70, 75. It starts rising. Actually, they've been $70, $75 the whole time. So the ETB hasn't really changed in price at all yet. Probably because these are a little easier to get. For the booster bundles, they had a big spike. 31 sold yesterday. Also, I think he mentioned booster bundles space. I might pull that up. And oh, this one says shipped in sealed displays. Actually, I see some sales for these. These are probably pretty cheap. Um, Not realizing that, like, sealed displays worth a little more. All right, so I pulled up the bundle displays, and it seems like they also did some sort of doubling based on some of the data. So the data I do have is that there's actually none listed right now. Bundle displays are similar to Prismatic and the 151 one. I do see that there were some sales lately. There's this bundle case of 20 bundles. I think it's a little different, maybe. But then there's a sealed display. They're only released in Europe, I've been hearing. Looks kind of like this, like it's just a rectangular box. And so this sold for double a price. Before that, I think it was selling for, it was only selling for like 500. And someone was pretty smart, and they went to the booster bundle listing. And you look at these sales, there was a listing that said, you buy 10 or 20, it's just in a sealed display, and it's only selling. That's basically only $470, so $500. That's actually a really good gain in a short amount of time. Otherwise, the booster bundle prices, did they rise or not? They're still more roughly the same. So this more applies for the more scarce items, so the ETB cases, the bundle display cases, the PCTB cases. The PCTB to some extent because those are also technically scarce. But yeah, there's been a lot of plays on these recently. So this is a picture of the seller with the sealed display, and Over here, this is the Kendra and Greninja box. Everyone kind of knew that these would go up. I do see like a doubling over the last month. Pretty recently, I do see a sale for 180. These have suddenly gone up. Before they were selling for like 130, 140. And so this is starting to rise. There's not that many of them on the market. This is a Greninja box. Not that many recent sales. Actually, the Kendra box has had more activity actually. So the Greninja box sold for it's a little more volatile to be honest, but it's like 150. Before that, I think the high sell was like 135, so it's also up quite a bit. And then loose packs, yeah, you're seeing a bunch of them sold. Also, I see 41 sold today. Prices are still probably around the same price points, but these are possibly going to get more expensive as well. Alright, so Obsidian Flames and Paldea Evolved, PCTB sales or prices kind of stagnate, and people are kind of shifting toward the cheaper PCTBs. It's exactly what happens in like booster boxes all the time. You see, like, as you know, Evolving Skies got expensive, Future Strike got more expensive, people buy the cheaper stuff. Paldea Evolved is too expensive, people buy the cheaper stuff. Same thing happening in Scarlet Violet PCTB. So Obsidian Flames reached around 700 to 800 like not too long ago. And you know the highest sale was there's this really expensive one for 850, but otherwise kind of the high was about 750. So there were a few sales at like 780 or whatever, but still 750, 760 is kind of normal price. Right now it's around that point. It kind of had some sales. You're kind of gonna see this pattern like. Granted, there's not a lot of PCBs on the market, so it kind of just like goes from not a lot of supply to not a lot of demand to a bunch of sales. The price just goes in like parabolic, so just straight up like that, and then we're gonna see a slowdown. So this is a common graph that we're seeing nowadays for a lot of PCBs that keeps happening. After the slowdown, we're seeing a couple of sales, and the price is still around the same points. It could go up a little more, but nothing too crazy. Paldea Evolved was a little slower, so you see that the graph is just a little shifted over a little bit. Beginning, there's not a lot of sales, and then a lot of sales are a little later, like toward like the very end of August. August went August 30th, and Obsidian Flames, it kind of happened around August 20, like August like 22nd or something. So like roughly, let's say half a week to a week before Paldea, and then Paldea is still kind of keeping up the demand. So at least like not having a huge period without any sales. So one sold over there. Paldea went to about 700. Was kind of the high. There were a couple sales 700. Otherwise, like 650 or a couple. Before that, most of the sales like for 500. People bought those out. So now we're seeing a lot at 700. Paldea was like heading toward 800. Like there wasn't a lot. There are some people who listed boxes for 700. Honestly, this is still a lot more potential than possibly Obsidian Flames. Just take someone to buy these out, and then we get to 800. But we'll kind of see. Supply wise, there's also just fewer Paldea boxes, 40 versus 15. Okay, so what's happening? So Twilight Masquerade, we're seeing it's starting to have like its repricing time. So you see the graph shifted even more. So like the very end of August, we're seeing the increase of sales. It hasn't really dropped yet, and the price of this has gone up, and you're seeing pretty much repricings of the PCTB. So depending on the box, the PCTB will kind of shift, but you see like Twilight Masquerade was commonly around 165, 150. I guess that there were a couple of actually no, this was like yesterday, so this is like a few days ago. So within the last few days, um like you start seeing the 170 appear 180 over here. Otherwise, before it was about 150. Yeah, all these prices are 150 or less, and right now it's 180, and it's getting to 185, it's getting to 200 students. So this is starting to move up, and demand numbers are like they're not like super high or anything. They're not like hundreds or like double digits for most part, but there's so few of them that it kind of like just works out to increasing them. All right, so temporal forces, you're seeing, yeah, you see the power again, not a lot, and then a lot of demand is starting to go up. So about two per day, not as extreme as um, Twilight in a sense. Twilight, I think, had like more sales, like you see 6, 5, 3, like higher demand numbers. This goes up to like 2. But yeah, temporal forces over here, it's at 190, and it recently was around I guess 170 before this. And you know, a lot of these are just the last couple of days, 831, 830. and then once you get to 828, it was only like 170. I guess there's a couple 180s over here. Um, so temporal has actually been at that price before. Now that I look at it, and it's around 190. So temporal is a little more stagnant, but you do see demand kind of increasing. So for I guess for some of the boxes, it's not as obvious of a price rise, although I do see a 250 over here. Stellar Crown had it. So Stellar Crown had this is a little more like Twilights, where you see it definitely a lot more quantity over here, and you see a slowdown. So just shifted over, and this was before like just like no, the highest sales actually like 175 over here. So this is now a 225 PCTB. No one has bought it, but the price has shifted quite a bit, and yeah, now we see the price has repriced quite a bit, and then Surging Sparks, we see the band kind of went up to here, and now it's like kind of like it's a newer boost, it's a newer PCTB, so there's gonna be higher numbers in general, but the price had gone up to about like 300 recently. Before that, it was about 280. Um, on the 28th, it was about 290, 260. So right now it's at 295, and so it's like maintaining around $300 right now. All right, Fusion Strike is at 1,050, just 3 boxes under 1,100, and it's up about $56. Brilliant Stars is also about $30 off right now. But Fusion Strike keeps going. There's actually no sales yesterday, so this was $1,000 yesterday. So I guess someone just delisted their listing or something. I don't really know. Now there's only three boxes left. It's really close to 1,100. Even at 1,100, like not that far from 1,200. Like I really don't know how far Fusion Strike will go, but I don't really think the run's fully over. You actually see the price for Fusion Strike, it was starting to stagnate a little bit, and it jumps back up. So if you correct the line, it actually is more of a straight line graph at that point. So that's pretty interesting. The Fusion Strike is still doing really well, just a lot of hype with it. I can kind of tell that's just one of the like people just hear Fusion Strike, like, oh, I want in to some extent. Um, Evolving Skies, which reached $3,000 yesterday. Not too surprising, there weren't any sales yesterday. Like it's starting to cool down a little bit. But after that 2,700 sale, no one still has bought the 2,900 or the $3,000 boxes. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. The Pokemon is still so hot. People know what they have, and I don't know if like this will really drop that much. Sure, there'll be every now and then people who are like, oh, my Evolving Skies box is up so much, maybe I should sell it. But other than that, those will get bought pretty quick. It seems like a lot of supplies already been flushed out. We've been through a ton of market cycles, because usually for booster boxes, what happens is like at like usually the price rises a lot slower. Like it'll rise 100 like every year, every few years. It's just for example, and at each price rise, people are like, oh, I should sell, and then supply gets down, and there's fewer people who are just casually going, oh, I should sell it. Whilst Origin sold two yesterday, and it's heading toward 850. So actually, these are all still at 850. Now there's only 4 boxes under $900. This is definitely heading there, especially with Future already at 1,000. Chilling Rain sold one yesterday after selling 5 days before. It's definitely heading back to 600. There's only these 3 boxes, and then it goes back to 600. Still, it's a little slower now. There is that big price of 650, but I do notice that it feels a little slower at the moment. Silver Tempest also feels a little slower. The mana is still pretty good, like 2 per day. Zero sold yesterday, and yeah, there's no insane price rise right now until you get to the bottom, but it does feel a little slower as well. Brilliant Stars definitely has a slowdown of sales. So unlike Silver Tempest, like sales have slowed down quite a bit, except for this one day sold two. And now you see like more and more people. Like I saw a few days ago, there was a 565 sale. Here's another one. Maybe it's the same seller. I don't really know. I don't remember. But otherwise, it's still pretty standard at 600. Astral Radiance. Honestly, Astral Radiance is going exactly through what Silver Tempest kind of went through before a few months ago, where it didn't really rise much. And part of the reason is like this. If you look at the 3 month graph, you see a lot of the sales have been happening recently. But other than that, people haven't been buying like Astral Radiance as much. Sure, there was a big buyouts when like all the booster boxes went up. But this time for Astral Radiance, it's just like not really moving as much. They're in this time period. There just wasn't enough sales. Let's see if I compare it to like Silver Tempest. That was the 6 month view. So for Silver Tempest, you see how like there's definitely more sales in between. Astral Radiance just didn't have the period of like selling out a lot of the boxes, and therefore it's ramping up now, and therefore it's gonna be slower because there's just more supply at the price points. And then the rest of Sword and Shield, Vivid Vulture sold 4 yesterday, and it's still trying to get to like 270. Battle Styles sold 0 yesterday, but honestly, Battle Styles seems like it's still very prime to run. I see 275, 280. Swordship base, nothing really happened. Same thing, Rebel Clash, nothing really happened. And then Darkness Ablaze, recently has been selling okay. It did selling yesterday. I'm still trying to get like 350. All right, Scarlet Violets, we're still seeing great demand from Paldea Evolved. I'll tell you, like, people are definitely going after the best sets of Scarlet Violet. That is very apparent. There's Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks. I only cover up to Surging Sparks in the video. Everything after that's a little more risky because like just a little more prone to reprints, especially Deaths and Rivals. But um, 7 sold yesterday. It's been selling about like at least 6 to 10 per day, and yeah, we're this one card cycle is running out, and we're getting to the 420. There's only 2 boxes under 445, and I'm sure this will shift up over time. Surging Sparks, I really think this will become like a $300 box soon, like at least 280. 280 is like pretty normal. Like 280 is already on the bottom of this page. We're just going through all the boxes left from Devastation. Demand, it was a little lower at 8 yesterday, but yeah, like with all these prices rising, I don't like, you really think that with Obsidian Flames going to 300, Twilight going to 300, really think, and Star Crown going to like 250, you really think Surging Sparks can't rise to another $300 booster box? If there's like, sure, if they reprint a lot tomorrow or something, booster boxes, sure, but it's already gone through so many stagnation periods that I think it's finally time for it to rise. Like this is like around like this, just this whole year basically, starting from January. So it's been 9 months of this. It's been so stagnant. It's gone from like, it's like 240 to 260 this whole 9 months. I think it's finally time for it to rise. After like we've gone through a lot of supply already. It's getting near the year-old mark actually. So yeah, I think it'll finally happen. Not a lot of supply from other sellers. For Twilight, we see 1 sold yesterday, and we're heading toward 310 over here. Seller Crown, just amazed, that's still 250, still selling 2 per day. Usually there's not much of a price ladder for seller, but it does just tend to rise over time somehow. For Obsidian Flames, only 1 sold yesterday, so it's a demand decrease, and still trying to get to like 315, 320 down here. Paradox Rift sold, 3-month graph. Sold 1 yesterday, and still trying to break out of the 250s, 255. Scarlet base I think was down like $1, so 0 sold yesterday, 3 sold today. Still trying to get. Honestly, there's a lot of them at 335, and then 235, and then 240, and then Temporal Forces sold 2 yesterday, and just trying to get to like 250 over here. That wraps things up for this video. I hope you walked away with a better understanding of the market. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more deep dives in the Pokemon market. Tell me what's the next big investment you're considering in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all later.